Hello and welcome. If you are new here, I'm Taylor. I'm the host of the Dive podcast. I'm also a musical theatre performer and I've been in the industry for over 10 years. Alongside that, I'm also a yoga and dance teacher and I'm the creator and founder of The Dive, which is the fastest growing support platform for musical theatre artists, both emerging and professional. Join us for conversations on mindset, behind the scenes stories of professionals in the industry, and how you can navigate the challenges that we face as artists. Once a week, you'll have a professional guest come on the show who we will interview. And every second week, you'll have me as your podcast host, where I'll be coming on and sharing with you practical exercises and resources to help you on your way to becoming a professional in the industry. All right, welcome back to another episode on the Dive podcast. If you're watching in on the YouTube, I'm in Sydney now. I've just arrived here doing Sunset Boulevard at the Sydney Opera House, and I was able to go in yesterday as we were starting a bit of a dry tech. For anyone that doesn't know what that means, basically running the show and all the technical elements before the cast join us and come on stage. So that's happening today. So we're about to all meet and get on stage, reunite, and it's just going to be such a wonderful experience. But I thought we would dive into today kind of what does your life look like after full-time and how to navigate that. By the end of this episode, you're going to be able to have a clear picture of what you're looking to achieve, why you're wanting to do it, and kind of get yourself in a frame of mind to actually know what the next steps are for you and really start to navigate that in a way that is promoting yourself and positioning yourself to actually achieve those things. So I'm going to get straight into it, but I just want to also say thank you so much. This incredible community that we're creating inside the Dive is just next level. If you are not already in our free community on Facebook, please go down and check the link in this description because we're building that community. We have over 100 students in there, and that's where you're just going to get all the updates. You're going to know exactly when our new programs are launching, any updates on our social media, and we're just building such a wonderful community. And if you're new here, please go and check it out. We would love to have you in there. So, okay, let's get into today's episode. So you've just finished full-time. What do you do now? What's happening? Sometimes, okay, right now, you just really have to actually look at what your life has just been, which has been hectic. You've gone from like structured days to now maybe weeks, days, staring at the ceiling, staring at the wall going, what do I do now? And this is so normal because you have just had, not only just in full-time, but from school up until now, you've had someone telling you when to come to class, when to show up, when to actually do the things, even to the extent of when do you have lunch. So actually navigating what your day-to-day life can look like is sometimes nerve-wracking. And sometimes this can really get us into a frame of mind of, I have no idea what to do, or there's so much time in my day that you just feel overwhelmed because you just like, well, I could start this, but I also have the rest of the day off. I get you, and I'm here to help you out. So the first thing we always want to do in any circumstance, but particularly once you've finished full time and you've got days off, weeks off, months off, years off to go, right, what do I do now? You need to get really clear. We need to get really clear on what we are striving for. What are we going for? So that's the first thing I want to share with you is what do you want? What do you desire most? Write this down. And if you're a notepad person, girl or guy, definitely get that out because with these podcast sessions, you'll definitely want to have a little notebook because we can work as you go. You can pause it. If you are a pen and paper sort of girl or guy, definitely go get that because this episode is definitely all about getting to the nitty-gritty. Let's get into exactly what we want to create. So the first thing that we want to really be focusing in on is what do you want? What do you desire most of all above anything else? We need to get really clear on what you are wanting to achieve because if you don't know what you're wanting to achieve, it's going to be really hard to navigate our next steps. So you can simply ask this question, what do I desire most? Don't focus on how you're going to get there yet. Just write down. I like to work with at least a top 3 You can also just work with one. If there's one top goal that you want to work with, amazing. But I find three to five, no more than five, because it can just get a bit overwhelming. There's definitely a top 3 right now that you would desire most. And if you're struggling with trying to figure out what those are, you can actually categorize them. So you can make it a top goal for your health, a top goal for your mindset, and a top goal for your career. Please pick and choose your categories. I'm just going to give out offerings and suggestions today, so please morph it to your life and what is most important to you. And I really just want to highlight on the desire moment. Like, I feel as though a lot of the time when we're navigating outside of full-time, we've been working on ourselves, we know our skills, we know where we are and what we're kind of wanting to go for, but we need to live in a space of, imagine if, let's just take a moment right now. I'm putting the pen down. Imagine if you could actually achieve that desired thing. Because a lot of the time we set ourselves back thinking that it's not possible, so why even go for it? And I like to think as our brains and our minds, we need to start getting on board. We need to get on board. I like to say, like the Taylor train, you need to get on board with yourself, because no one is going to love your dream. No one is going to get up and make your dream a reality other than you. And if you don't desire it, it's not going to happen. A lot of the time when we're navigating outside of full-time, we are looking for motivation. And the motivation will only come when your desire is strong. If your desire is strong, you will wake up, you will go do the thing, no questions asked. So a lot of the time when we're navigating the motivation, a better question is, what do I want? And what am I actually willing to do to actually achieve it? So let's get really clear. Ask yourself, what do you want, and write it down. You can even make a little brainstorm session by going, just writing on paper, top 10. You can write out the top 10 things you desire and then narrow it back down to the top 5 and then maybe even the top 3. So once you know exactly what you're wanting to achieve, you've got to ask yourself, what will your life look like once that is achieved? Again, it's going back into that desire. Really understand what your life will look like when that has happened, or when you're actually living that experience. As an example, you've just come out of full-time. You really want a musical. Okay, what is your life going to look like when you're in that musical? You're in 8 shows a week. You're playing that character you always dreamed of. You're traveling and touring the world. Incredible. What does your life look like? What are you eating? Who are you spending your time with? How are you spending your time? And what are your days filled like? Once you know that, and again, dream a little bit, because the power of all of this and what I'm getting at is that once you understand that, you can then understand the characteristics, the traits, and the personal self of that future self. And the power within that is then I want you to write down, if I achieved that top goal of yours of being in a musical, how would I show up, act, and behave? Because by actually answering this question, you can navigate the most powerful and potent reason of goal setting, and something that I've been teaching inside our Momentum program. If you don't know about that, you can definitely go in the show notes and check it out. And I'll just share with you a little bit about actually that on this topic, because we have just been going through the Momentum program. It's a program that I actually launched on how to become a professional in musical theatre, and emphasis on the becoming, because a lot of us want the thing. A lot of us want the goal. We want the thing. We just want it now. And the thing actually that's going to get you there is about embodying and becoming that individual, that future version of yourself in the now. And how we do that is getting clear. How we do that is by writing it down and writing out those characteristics and starting to build a lifestyle surrounded by those traits. Because once you actually start embodying those traits, the goal is going to take care of itself. It is going to feel a lot more fun. It's going to feel a lot more fulfilled. And you're just going to have a lot more energy, because when you start embodying that actual thing, you're not going to be worrying about, oh, I need that thing and then I'll be happy. There's actually a problem with goals in terms of goal-oriented achievement, meaning that I will be happy when that happens. Like, you will feel succeeded, like you're a success when you would get a musical. You will feel acknowledged when you get that thing. But the lack in that is that you're never going to feel happy. You're never going to feel like you're worthy enough until you actually get that thing, right? So instead, wouldn't that feel nicer to start embodying those things now, showing up as that 8-show-week version of you now, and starting to work on that so that when you actually achieve the thing and you're there, you're not only able to be there, but you're able to really be there for the longevity. You're able to be there from a place of, yes, like, of course I'm here because I have the recovery ready to go. I know how to look after myself so that when these shows come up, if you're a swing or you're covering, nothing is going to be too overwhelming because you have set this foundation for yourself that you've already been planning. You've already been planning the version of you that is going to look after yourself and have the best time ever. So we do that by really getting clear on what and who this version of yourself is. So as I mentioned, we have this momentum program that is really sharing with students like yourself how to navigate the industry after full-time. You can check this out by the link in our description. It has all the information about it, and it's really just going to help you get the mindset, get the goals, get really clear on why you are here to actually then know how to navigate the industry. So I always want to share about some of the programs and the things that we're launching and creating in the Dive because it's just been amazing. We've had over 10 students go through the program currently, and the success and just the vibe inside of the community has just been awesome. And it's just awesome to really connect with all of you and see this progression happening in your life. And I truly believe that you don't need to do it alone. We are here as a community. We're all wanting the same sort of thing. You're just needing that extra little bit of support, that bit of mentoring, that little bit of community to navigate the highs and lows that this industry gives. Okay, so once you're really clear on what your top 3 goals are, what the top characteristics and what your life's basically going to look like in the now based on that future version of yourself, you've got to do the second step, which is why. Why do you want to be there? Why do you actually want that thing? And the best exercise you can do right now is go have a look at those top goals and ask yourself why, answer it out, but then I want you to ask yourself why again. Potentially up until I say keep asking yourself why until you feel your heart or something kind of coming up, a bit of emotion, because when you actually connect to something deeper, a lot of the time when we're wanting something, it's very material. It's very like this top layer stuff that isn't really promoting what you deeply, deeply want. And so by asking yourself why and why again, at least 4 to 5 times, come back to me right in the community what you've actually come up with, and it's going to blow your mind of why you actually want that thing. It could be that you've always want to share stories, you want to be on a stage and you want to just live a life of creating and sharing stories and being with supportive people and all this stuff. So it's going to be different for everyone, but by just doing this small exercise, you're going to literally open your mind to actually reasons why you truly want it and really navigate it from a reason of not for anyone else. Like, why do you want it? Not because it's going to make someone else happy. Why do you want it? And there's a hidden step within this. When you actually ask yourself why you want the goal, you are turning on the signal in your brain that's going to surpass motivation. Because when you actually realize why you want the goal, your actual action steps to go ahead and go and do that goal is going to be just a no-brainer. You're just going to wake up and go, bang, I know exactly what I want because I know why I'm doing it. A lot of the time when we're trying to navigate motivation or we're trying to navigate the industry, we're doing it in a way of, I've got to go to singing classes. I've got to do this because that's what everyone else is doing. And if I don't do it, I'm going to fall behind. Can you feel that energy already? We don't want that energy. We want like, I'm going to singing class because I'm ready to nail my belt. I want to work on this. I want to work on this piece of material. We've got to fall back in the love of what we're doing, because if you're not loving what you're doing, like really we shouldn't just be doing it at all. We're not here for long, and we need to make sure that what we're doing and how we're doing it is supportive and is coming from a place of enjoyment and actual passion. I know that this can kind of go downhill, especially after full time, because, okay, you've just trained so long. You've just trained so long to actually get into the thing. And so now you feel like the only best next step is to get the thing. And without it, you may feel like you're inadequate or you should be somewhere where you're not. And all I will say right now is that By connecting to your why, by connecting to something deeper, you are just going to bring that back out of actually why you want it. You're going to be putting the action steps in to achieve it. And you're just going to connect to something bigger. You're going to connect maybe back to that child who went into dance class for the first time and dance, singing, acting, whatever it is. And you're just going to keep connecting to that. And you're going to bring a fun element to that. And that's just going to help you navigate those maybe few years after Fulltime as you're going to audition, getting the rejection, showing up. It's going to feel so much nicer when you start embodying that future self, because ask yourself this: if you were a professional already in musical theatre, how would you respond to rejection? How do you think? Not how anyone else you believe. How do you think you would show up? Would you crumble and be a mess on the floor? Or would you go, that's okay, like I've already done a few shows, I know that what is meant for me is right for me, and this is how my future self would go forward. Again, this is not about pushing any emotions aside. This is not about being happy chappy 24/7. This is just positioning yourself and your mind in a place where you can navigate the industry with a bit more clarity, a bit more confidence, and a bit more direction. Because, like I said, no one is going to hold your hand. No one is coming to hold your hand and pick you up to go to that next audition. By navigating navigating what you want and why you want it, it's gonna make the rejection easier. It's going to make what you're doing so much easier, because you not only know what you're doing, but you know why you're doing it. So the final step that you want to think about is when. We know what we want. A lot of the times, if you were actually struggling, on a side note here, to understand what you want, a lot of the time our brain kind of goes into this negative loop of what we don't want. So that can actually be really powerful. And I'm going to share with you how you can actually use the power of what you don't want to navigate what you do want. Because for everything that you don't want, there's an opposite. So a lot of the time, if you're navigating this, ask yourself, okay, if you don't know what you want, you can write out what don't you want and then find the opposite of that, because that's just going to help you actually navigate exactly what you do want. So once you know what, once you know why, let's get into when, because it's all great and well navigating, okay, I know what I want and I know why I want it. But the only thing that is going to help you become a professional musical theatre performer is action. Nothing else is going to get you there. We can have the energetics, we can have the reasons why, we can have exactly what we want to do, but at the end of the day, if you are not showing up and you're not putting in the action, nothing is going to happen for you. So let's create an action step that you can take right now. So once you've got clear on exactly what, and you've got clear on why, then you can ask yourself, okay, when am I going to start putting these characteristics? When am I going to start putting the things that I want into my calendar? And there's a simple exercise that you can do. So to get an understanding of when you're going to do these things, it can be really overwhelming, right? Okay, like when am I going to sing? When am I going to dance? When am I going to do all this? It can become really overwhelming, especially if you have more time, because you're like, oh, how do I structure my days to actually do all the things that I want? I highly recommend a book called The One Thing for any performer listening to this right now, especially if you're navigating a headspace of, gosh, there's just so much to do and I don't know what to start. And you can simply ask yourself this question: what is the one thing I can do to improve this or to implement this? It's just going to help your brain navigate just one simple thing, because a lot of the time that's all we need. It's all we need in that moment. We only need one extra thing or one key step to move forward. Let's put this into an example that may be true for you. Okay, top goal, I want to be in a musical theatre show. Amazing. You've asked yourself, why do you want that? Great. Then we need to get really specific. We need to dig a little deeper. We need to get into the soil. We need to get into the core of, okay, what does that actually mean for me? So you can ask yourself, what's the one thing I need to do to get into that musical? And this could be, okay, I know I need to improve my singing. I know I need to improve my dancing, whatever it is. And if it's multiple things, fantastic, write that out. But then you really want to start asking yourself, okay, what's the one thing out of singing, dancing, acting that I know I need to work on to get into a musical, and write that out. Okay, as an example, it might be dancing. Right, what's the one thing I can do to improve my dancing? Okay, it could be go to class. It could be getting a private. You could even go one step even further and ask yourself, what's the one part of dancing that I need to improve on? So this could be on style, it could be tap, it could be ballet. Once we actually get really specific, we actually push away all this mind overwhelmment. I don't think that's a word, but it actually positions yourself in a place of clarity, because once you get really clear on what you actually need to achieve, it's so much easier to go ahead and put the action steps in to actually go and achieve it. So that's what you're going to do for each of the goals. Find yourself one action step that's the true action step that you need to do next. You can do this by, if you're wanting to then put it into a schedule, which we definitely want to do, because again, action's the only thing that's going to move you forward, is to ask yourself, okay, what's the one thing I can do within the next month that will help me get closer to that goal? And you can write that into your monthly goal. Then you can go into 2 weeks. Okay, what's one thing I can do to get closer to my goal in 2 weeks based on the monthly goal? And then you can go even further to like, what's one thing I can do this week to get closer to my 2-week goal, and then the daily goal. And then what you'll end up doing is you'll find yourself with a daily goal that could be, okay, if it was to improve my dance style, it could be today to research a movie and watch that style. And that's today. And slowly what you'll start to do is you'll build this 1% day that you'll actually start to improve incrementally. And the daily thing is going to be so much more achievable. It's not going to be, okay, today I need to go to 10 dance classes and do all this. It's too much. It's too much. And a lot of the times when we're going into our goals, we think that massive action in a short amount of time is going to get us to the thing closer. And what's actually going to be better for you is to build the 1%, build the incremental steps to actually build this long and extensive base for yourself. Because once you achieve the goal of getting into a musical, imagine if you actually did it incrementally. It's literally about becoming. It's about becoming this person who has the discipline, who has the knowledge that it's not about a quick win. It's not about, I just want to do 10 dance classes, get it over and done, then I'll be in a musical and then I'm arrive. If you have this mentality now, I'm telling you, you're going to come into musical theatre and you're going to come out of it as quick as you came in. Because if you're not building the fundamental steps and the foundational work right now, it's going to be so difficult to obtain and stay at 8 shows. It's going to be so difficult to navigate your life, how to balance your relationships, how to balance all of this around this crazy, wonderful life that we call musical theatre. And so by putting in these daily actions and by navigating your top goals by what we've been doing in this podcast today, I hope you're going to be able to get really clear on what you're wanting to achieve. You're going to understand why you're doing it. And that's just really going to help you on that daily basis as you build that progression. Because by implementing the why, you're going to know that, okay, by doing this one research today, if you have already that weekly, bi-weekly, monthly goal mapped out, you know that by actually doing the daily thing today is equal to that monthly goal achieved. Because it's all broken down until today. When I started to implement this, guys, side note, was insane, because I always thought, okay, I want to get into that thing, so I want it as quick as possible, and you just want it. And there was 2 things that were happening with this approach. The first thing was that my energy towards it was so desperate. It was so like, it was so tense. And so when I was actually going to do the thing, if I was in an audition, it was too desperate, and the panel really saw that. And my energy saw that too. I was more nervous. I was increased pressure on myself. And so instead, when I started to take a back seat and go, hold on, okay, what does my actual life look like? And what does this professional version of myself look like? And how can I start navigating a routine today that can help support me tomorrow? And so when you start to implement this and you don't put all this pressure on getting such quick success in such a short time, you're not only going to be able to enjoy the process, but you're going to start building an actual full lifestyle that is going to promote wellness and promote longevity when you are there. I feel like I just spoke forever, but I hope that today's episode's giving you kind of that structure, giving you that structure of what you're wanting to achieve, getting really clear on your top 3 to 5 goals. understanding why you're wanting to get there. It's fundamental to your motivation and your fulfillment on the daily basis. And then I hope that through that, you're able to understand, when are you actually going to do the thing? What's the one thing you can do today to start implementing or start getting you closer to the ultimate version of you, to that top 3 goal, that top 1 goal that you're looking for. So I hope that you've enjoyed the episode. Please comment in, please email in, please message us if you want to, again, join our free community. We have a free Facebook community you can be a part of. We talk a lot about mindset on there, and I basically just share any updates with the dive. Again, I mentioned the amazing Momentum program that you can go check out if you're really looking for a deep dive in learning how to navigate the industry. If you've just come out of full-time, it is going to be the most fundamental next step for you, because you're not only going to get much clearer on what we spoke about today, but I'm actually going to show you how to implement that into your calendar. You're going to learn exactly on the top mindset tools of actually becoming a professional and how to support you. And yeah, so go check that out in the show notes as well. And as always, if you have any questions, please email us or myself, rather, at info@thedive.com.au. Sending you so much love. Have the most magical day, and I can't wait to see you on future episodes. If you feel like this episode was a hit and you want to share it with a friend, please share it and share the love, and even share it on a story on Instagram. Just know that by sharing, that this message of actually becoming the most ultimate version of yourself is going to resonate with hopefully so many more people. And I believe that by sharing knowledge and by all coming together, we're only going to get stronger as a community, and we're going to start achieving our goals not only a lot faster, but into a place of authenticity and from a place of just good vibes. So have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next episode.